Welcome to the Heroic Investing Show. As first responders, we risk our lives every day. Our financial security is under attack. Our pensions are in a state of emergency. A single on-duty incident can alter or erase our earning potential instantly and forever. We are the heroes of society. We are self-reliant and we need to take care of our own financial future. The Heroic Investing Show is our toolkit of business and investing tactics on our mission to financial freedom.
This is Heroic Investing, episode 178. Today I get the awesome opportunity to interview another member of the leadership team at Active Duty Passive Income. And you can find out more about these guys at activedutypassiveincome.com. All members of the U.S. Armed Forces, all services are represented. It's like they have their own little joint force here of real estate. They're amazing guys. I've already interviewed Tim Kelly and Mark-Jan Sitch. So you know most of these guys. We have at least one or two more, and I can't wait to talk to those gentlemen. Mike Foster is a U.S. Naval Academy graduate, recently completed his service in the Navy, and is a current real estate investor and entrepreneur. He serves as the education chief, actually, and podcast host for Active Duty Passive Income, and he graciously interviewed me for their show. So hopefully you'll be hearing that one soon, too. And I really recommend that you add the automatic download feed for Active Duty Passive Income to your repertoire. I know that if you're like me and you're a podcast junkie, there's way more on your phone than you can handle, but continue downloading them, and that way they're sitting there ready to go. If you catch one that you like, you can go back and look at the previous episodes. But I think you're really going to like what Mike is doing there at Active Duty Passive Income. While on active duty, Mike was fortunate enough to have had several remarkable mentors that taught him the importance of credit building, creative financing techniques, and wealth building strategies. His wife, Cheyenne, is also involved in their business. She's also in the Navy, and she's his partner in his real estate businesses. Mike has acquired multiple real estate investments. He owns several businesses and has the passion and drive to mentor thousands of veterans around the world. And he's a really enthusiastic, energetic guy, a great person to add to your network of real estate investors, friends, and people that you can look to for your own mentoring, because obviously Mike is an individual who really, really values mentorship and what it's done for him. And he's excited to help do it for you and get your real estate career up and running. Very much like Mark-Jan, Mike and Tim and the others that will come from this group are very helpful, motivated, enthusiastic individuals. Gosh, I can't play this up too much more. Let's just get to it. Here is my new great friend and very enthusiastic individual, Mr. Mike Foster. Well, everybody, thanks again and welcome back to the Heroic Investing Show. I have a treat for you today. I think I might say that every time, but I mean it this time. I've got Mike, who is, and here's the reason that this is a treat, because Mike just finished up active duty, right? So when we're talking about everybody, or talking to everyone about having the confidence, having the recent experience to do a transition, and maybe even without a retirement to back you, Mike's in that position, and very inspiring story. And it's also a treat because he's a fellow Naval Academy graduate, and I always love to bring that point out and give a little boost for Annapolis. So Mike, it's a true pleasure, and I'm looking forward to being on your show here coming up soon, which we've already got scheduled, and you'll get a double dose of the two of us bantering back and forth. Mike, thank you so much for joining our audience here on Heroic Investing.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate this. This is an honor.
Yeah, and so what I also didn't tell you, and I just kind of alluded to it, is that Mike is also running a podcast and may have more personally created episodes than I do, because I rerun some of the best from the Creating Wealth show. But he's a professional, folks. So here we go. Hey, Mike, what I love to do at the beginning is have people tell their story. You can, if there's something important about being an infant, let's go for it. But most importantly, let's talk about how you got in the Navy, what you did, and then we'll jump into transition.
Came out of the Naval Academy, like you said, graduated in 2013, and then went straight to Japan for my first tour. I was a surface warfare officer out there on a minesweeper, USS Avenger. I spent a couple tours on minesweeps out there because I decommed that one, went on to another one. And then I went from there back to Virginia, or back home to Virginia, where I was on an amphib. was on an LPD class ship, and interesting tour there. I got to work with Marines. I got to see a different side of the Navy that I hadn't seen before. And then from there, I rolled to an expeditionary unit in Little Creek. I was with a Riverine unit, and we did mobile security out in the Middle East for some high value assets coming in and out, carriers, big deck amphibs, submarines, that kind of stuff. And that was another eye-opening experience to another side of the Navy that I absolutely enjoyed, I got to say. So I enjoyed my time in the service overall, but I realized that, somewhere down the line, it wasn't something that I wanted to do as a career. I didn't want to do the 20. And ironically, I kind of fell into real estate investing. That's kind of how I ended up getting into this. So, but it was cool. I mean, it was definitely interesting. And the transition was not smooth, as I know many of you, or if you have transitioned, if you haven't, you've heard the stories, I'm sure. I came back from deployment last year, and I had 3 months until I was getting out. So that 3 months was very hectic. Still trying to do a turnover with no other officer that I was turning over with, and trying to get everything in line because they were deploying in another 11 months. However, also going through and doing everything that I had to for my transition. But I have to say, it was not a super concern to me because I knew what it was that I wanted to do when I got out. I kind of had my ducks in a row, even though I didn't have a safety cushion of the pension. And my wife, she is also in the Navy, so that was nice from the health benefits perspective. I wasn't losing much there. But I took a full faith leap into entrepreneurship, and so far it's been pretty successful. So I'm excited, about the future months that are to come.
That's awesome. Yeah. So many of you are familiar with my friend Brandon Cook. He's also an academy grad, and he's a fighter pilot, F-18 pilot. And he just reached out to me and said that he was doing his transition this week. So we're going to have Brandon back on to see how that went. Over a year ago now, I guess, we're talking about that coming up for him. So like you, he's doing this without a pension. And I think that's just incredibly inspiring. And like you, he's using real estate as a bit of an initial launch and cushion into entrepreneurship. So is your entrepreneurship, Mike, specifically real estate? Is it just real estate? Is it a business unrelated to real estate, or what are you planning to branch to?
So it's actually a little bit of both. Yeah, I fell in love with real estate investing, and I did my own investing on the side. But a buddy of mine from the academy, actually, we started a company called Active Duty Passive Income. And it took our own real estate experience and tailored it towards the military, because we know that there is a need for that kind of financial education in the service, and we don't get enough of it. I mean, even as so much as understanding the VA loan, they don't really teach it. So we took our passion with real estate investing, we took our passions for the military, and we combined the two. And that's actually where my podcast was born as well. So
that's awesome. So everyone has already heard Tim Kelly and Mark Ian, who I believe is who you're referring to there about starting the company. So
right.
Gosh, I have to say, I appreciate the fact that when I'm out there looking for material and guests, the fact that you guys started a podcast that is exactly, on the topic of people that I want to have on my show. That was very helpful. So my podcast setter, Naresh, awesome guy. I think, he's got a pretty easy life right now because I just keep handing him the people who should be on my show. And so awesome that all three of you have now been on the show. Greatly appreciated. So you have experts in different areas, different types of real estate investing at Active Duty Passive Income. So tell me a little bit about that and what yours is, and kind of what you do to help people. I mean, you provide a lot of education. What else do you do?
No worries. So I mean, we got really lucky. I love actually sharing this story because it was completely unplanned, right? So Mark-Jan and I, we got to talking about this, and Mark-Jan's a Marine, as you know. I'm in the Navy, of course, but somewhere along the line, we had Eric added on to the mix. And Eric Upchurch, he is our investment chief. He kind of works with people when they're starting to make their first investment outside their VA loan, when they're trying to look at turnkey properties and whatnot. So he helps them out with that. But he's in the Army, and he was a special ops guy flying helos, which is really, really cool. So we got that branch of the service represented. And then somehow along the line, we met Adam at one of the real estate conferences. And Adam Labar, he is our multifamily investment chief. He looks specifically at the numbers, and he's really, really awesome at doing that. Huge analytical guy, but he's very smart and intelligent to that space. And so he helps people out with that, as well as Tim Kelly and him kind of partner up. But Adam is in the Air Force. And so we really have everyone covered. And then, of course, Tim Kelly, you had him on the podcast. You know, he's in the Navy, but we have all the branches of the Department of Defense in our group, which is cool. And then myself, I am the education chief. So I run a lot of the systems, or I'm sorry, not running systems, but I help implant a lot of the training that we go through for our course, the podcast. You know, I research a lot of the new topics that we put out and discuss. I work with people who have experience in a certain field, whether it's IRAs, whether it's life insurance, whether it's whatever, right? You name it. And we kind of combine and tailor the experience towards the military, and kind of translate the lingo and get it out in mediums where people can consume it.
That makes sense.
It's fun.
So is this a paid course that you guys put on for people who want to get a little deeper, or is it just kind of a sequential free for the taking kind of course?
So most of our courses are free. We do have one paid course, which is our flagship. That's our academy. It's 37 lessons, and it's in the video form and self-guided. But we offer a VA loan course for free because we don't believe that people should pay for that, experience and having to learn what their VA benefits are. You can find it for free, but we have that whole spot for you. Our podcast is free, and we have a couple other lessons like house hacking, our military house hacking book, which you can get for free on our website. But yeah, most of the education that we have on our platform is free. The only stuff we really pay for is the stuff that requires our time to go out and mentor and guide people.
Yeah. Well, listen, I mean, everyone can give everything away for free, and then you go hungry and you stop doing it, right? And so you're no longer able to provide the service, and that value is gone. So I think anyone who refuses to pay for something that's really of high value, they're just kind of kidding themselves. Mm-hmm. And once you yourself become an entrepreneur, like I have done, and along that same path, right? And I'm running my own business in sales, and my wife has a real estate business, so you start to value time, right? So time has a cost to it. So if you can go out and do all this yourself, but is that really your best use of your time? And for some people it is. I'm on this real estate investing group thread and in a Gmail group, and some people were just going down these rabbit holes about how they've traveled to work on the properties themselves and saved, a couple $1,000s on, make-ready costs. And for them, they're kind of semi-retirement. They'd rather do this than their W-2 job. And that totally makes sense. But if you're trying to run another business, there's value to having to short hacking time, I guess. And
exactly. No, you're absolutely right, man.
So you will, I think you will absolutely. I mean, you're going to find people who can't afford or feel like they're still. I mean, that's one of the traps I believe we get into in the military, and one of the things I had to learn my way out of is thinking that there was any value associated with time. And so,
right.
Like I can do it myself. We're very much like that in the military, where no chance I'm going to pay anybody to mow my lawn. Well, now I do. And because I was mowing one point, and I'm like, man, I just lost this case because I didn't do what I was supposed to do, didn't have enough time, and here I am mowing the lawn. And so,
right.
Exactly. There's things that you'll still do because you love doing them, and it's not about money in that case.
And that's different. Yeah, it's absolutely different. It's almost like a hobby at that point, and it's therapeutic. And that stuff you definitely should differentiate, but there's no reason that you can't pay someone to take care of something that is otherwise going to take up more of your time that you don't enjoy doing. I mean, you're almost providing a service to them because they enjoy doing it and they get paid from it. So you help put food on their table, right?
Absolutely. I think everyone's got that unique genius out there. And that's what I kind of stand on I was going to say bully pulpit, but I stand on my loudspeaker, and that's kind of part of my vision, is to help people put in place some passive income so that they can turn and spend time mastering for everyone's benefit, right? So if you become a master at whatever it is out there that you're better at than everybody else, and you can provide it to the rest of us who would really struggle doing it ourselves, it's adding value to everyone. So,
exactly.
Unique genius, being able to focus on that means that you've got to free up your time, and passive income. That's why I love real estate. Absolutely good stuff there. So, okay, let's talk about your properties. So you left the military with some properties, but you just got them, right? So kind of give them a flavor of what you have right now.
So I did have 6 units when I left. In 2016, I bought my first property with my VA loan. It was a duplex. I actually got a little creative with that one because I just read Rich Dad Poor Dad, listened to a bunch of podcasts, read some books, and somehow I came up with a strategy of doing a lease option on it. So it was, I guess it was not your traditional duplex, but it was 2 condos in one building, right, stacked on top of each other. And the lady was very motivated to sell. So I bought the top with my VA loan. I got a lease option to buy the bottom. I put a tenant in there long term. And then my wife ended up buying the bottom with her VA loan. So we would live on the top, rent out the bottom, and then we'd rent out the top on Airbnb in the summer while I was on deployment.
That's
which was
fantastic.
Really nice. Yeah, no, it was super creative. I don't even know where I came up with all that, but it was fun. It worked out for us.
Yeah.
And so from there, we were able to pick up another condo that was close by. We had the property in Florida that I kind of, what do they call it? Subject to, right? I mean, subject to, you kind of pay off the mortgage. This is my grandmother's house, my grandfather's house. They built it, and she had gotten in some financial issues when my grandfather died. But luckily for me and for all of us, I was able to graduate Naval Academy right at the time where she was going into these issues for financing. And so I directly started sending part of my paycheck just to the mortgage. So I've been taking care of this property actually for years now. I guess I kind of call that my first accidental real estate investment. But it's been cool because now I'm here now. That's where I'm calling you from in Florida. And I'm going to put this one on Airbnb as well. And we'll rent this out, get her stabilized on a nice little retirement income, get her something that's a little bit more manageable for her. So I had that one. And then I had a property that I closed on in like 30 days out on a TDY in Mississippi before I went on to my deployment in 2018, which was really cool. That was a single family house that I bought with a buddy of mine that's in Virginia. So we went on it as a joint venture together. And then I had a property that I bought while I was out on deployment in Dubai last year, which was pretty cool. So, so those are my six.
I love these stories that stretch the mind of the audience, right? So back to my buddy Brandon, he talks about closing on a property while on an aircraft carrier in the middle of the Pacific.
Nice. That's awesome.
It's important to be able to stretch your mind. And, I come across so many people that are not in the military. Now, thankfully, I don't hear this from the military, because we've learned how to, deal with not less than perfect, circumstances and all kinds of things in life. But I will constantly hear this from my clients. They say, well, gosh, you own real estate. Like you've lived in all those places. And I said, no, I haven't lived in any of those places. But they just think like it's unreasonable to buy a property that's nowhere near where you live.
They do. And it's ridiculous. Yeah. Because it's like people build wealth. This is how they do it.
Yeah. And you just have to kind of get past that paradigm. And it's not easy for somebody who's been precluded from having the awesome fun of traveling around and, moving your stuff every 2 years,
True. Very true.
And so as you and I look at buying properties and everybody else in the military, I mean, yeah, you can buy it in your backyard if you want, but it won't be your backyard for long. So it really doesn't do a lot of good to do that. But my biggest, the recommendation is that people do what you guys did. Buy property, put a VA loan on it, and get much less money down, make your money do a great job for you, and then move and just keep a trail of houses behind you. At a minimum, do that, and then build on that by buying them outright, right? So you guys did exactly what I'm talking about. You bought your first properties, having lived in them, and then you expanded from that. And now you're buying things when you stop someplace in TDY, which is just awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's kind of cool too when you learn about the tax law and how you can really build your lifestyle around your investing. I think that also appeals. At least that's what appealed to me too. So that's why I'm motivated to buy property in places that I think I'll travel to again, because it comes a tax write-off.
Yeah, it does. And so what are some of like your favorite references for tax, benefits like that? Is there a specific writer that you like, specific CPA or anyone?
Oh, so I actually just bridged a gap with a CPA that we hired for active duty passive income. So that's kind of cool. But other than that, no, I didn't have a specific tax attorney helping me out with some of these. I think that was probably my downfall. It's like one of those things you just kind of leap into it, right? Ready, fire, aim, and then now he's trying to figure out, okay, well, let me clean up some of the mess that I've made. Along this way.
So a couple of quick books on mine. So I really like Tom Wheelwright's book on tax-free wealth.
Oh, yeah, tax-free wealth. Oh, yes.
Really well written.
Great book. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and another one that I would recommend everyone is from, and I might mess up his name, but Frank Gallinelli, What Every Real Estate Investor Needs to Know About Cash Flow. It's just a really good book about some basics. So if you're just starting out, that's a great book about cash flow.
I'm sorry, I missed that question. Yeah, definitely recommend you at least read the book. That's where I kind of got all those ideas for the tax benefits and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. And then there's some other ones. I mean, like, it's just amazing. You can pick up books, from like Diane Kennedy has done a ton of books. She used to be a Rich Dad advisor, and you can get those things for like $2, right? And there's just timeless information in those things.
Mhm.
So what about the process of transition? Not so much the real estate, but the actual, process of transition. Any current events, thoughts that you have that you can pass out to the listeners?
Absolutely. So, as a matter of fact, this is not something that I took advantage of because it's something that I didn't really know about, but I highly recommend this to anyone who's listening who is active duty looking to transition. It's a program called DoD Skills Bridge. And apparently, with this program, they allow you to talk to your commanding officer, right, or whoever he or she is, and get a 6-month no-cost TAD or TDY to a company, right, an outside company, and you get to work under them as a non-paid intern, but for the 6 months that you have until you transition out, and you can kind of learn that trade or that skill, right? And you continue to get your military paycheck throughout that entire time. That is incredible.
So you don't have to go to work. So
You
you,
don't have to go to work. Like, you do
oh my
not show up
gosh.
in uniform for 6 months. You go straight to this company, whatever that company is, and you go work for them as an unpaid intern, but you get paid by the military. And yeah, and that's your transition out.
Wow.
I know, right? I
I
had no
remember.
idea about this.
Is that open for officers and enlisted?
Officers and enlisted. I heard it from a Navy '06. As a matter of fact, yesterday, I think it was yesterday or the day before, we were talking about it. And I had heard of it before he mentioned it to me, but of course, after I got out. But he was telling me that he's planning on doing it after his retirement ceremony in July this year.
Oh, that's amazing. So
Yeah.
that's something that did not come up during that painful transition course that made me go through.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
Did not even come up.
TGPS, the
Yeah.
TAPS, right?
Wow. Crazy. I got a lot of stories about that, but we won't go down there. Um,
Oh, man.
so let's say that this is the first time, even though we've done 2 podcasts already on active duty passive income, this is the first time that anybody has heard about this. It's the first one they happen to listen to. What's most important about the site? And I think it's just activedutypassiveincome.com. Yes.
Right.
So we got that part covered. So what's most important to go to or to look at when you get to the site?
Honestly, there's so much, but I think the biggest thing is our forum, right? Our Start the Spark Club. It's free for everyone. They can go in and just connect with other people that are, in the military, if you're in the service, or they're veterans, and just go and ask questions. There are so many people there from all over the country. We have folks from, overseas in Italy, in Rhoda, in Japan. I mean, we've got a good network, and I honestly think that is one of the biggest things that people take for granted. It's their network, right? Because we're not on this world alone, and you should never go through a situation by yourself. Even when you're getting educated, you build that network up so you can build that confidence in taking action, having people around you that have done something similar to what you're doing, or may have some advice on how you might want to go about it or think about something differently. I think that's the biggest thing that we have.
That was great advice. And we'll probably end with that. When I was just, I'm doing a whole bunch of personal development work. I started it as soon as maybe before I even transitioned out. Well, it was definitely before I transitioned, right after command, when I was able to focus a little more. So I've done a good 5 years of all kinds of, learning how to get more focused with meditations, goal setting, all kinds of stuff like that. But I ran across recently, just yesterday, I think, when I was doing my work, Henry Ford's great quote about whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
right.
That's
And
right.
so surrounding yourself with people who are doing what you're looking to do, it's about programming your brain, like you're brainwashing yourself that, yes, this is possible. But if you get around a bunch of people who aren't doing what you're trying to go do, then everything you see, everything your body is sensing is that this is unnormal. This is abnormal. This is not natural what I'm doing. So, the fact that you're in active duty passive income and just doing podcasts about it, right? You're totally immersed in it. Nothing seems unusual, right?
Nothing is unusual. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
When people join your network, then all they see is a bunch of other people doing it. So it's really, really powerful, the way in which you're influencing the subconscious, right? So you'll see all kinds of stuff about, hey, put a lock and key on your mind. Like, be careful what you let inside. Be careful who you stand around and listen to,
yes.
right?
Yes,
All
you're
that
absolutely
stuff,
right.
That's all the same stuff. It's just
Huge.
simply training the subconscious on where you're headed, right?
Exactly. And you can't limit your thinking either. I mean, I love speaking about this too, because it's so powerful what you can accomplish if you just say, instead of I can't, how can I?
Oh
Right?
my gosh,
I think
yeah.
that was the biggest takeaway that I had from Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But it was so transformational, because you can do so much. I mean, I am not, if I can do it, all of you guys can definitely do it. This was not supposed to be my life, but yet it was, and it is.
Yeah.
And I am going towards it, man, because I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I love that one from RK too, from Kiyosaki. Like, and Tom Wheelwright talks about the same kind of thing. He travels with Kiyosaki all the time, and he says, hey, you know, people will come up to me when we're in Singapore or some, you know, South America or something, and they'll say, you can't do that here. And you know, he'll just be like, you're right, man. You can't do that here because you told yourself you can.
That's right. That's a good point. Exactly.
Well, gosh, guys, I gotta tell you, Mike, I've had a tremendous time, a lot of fun.
Likewise.
30
this is
minutes
great.
blown by, and so that makes me pretty excited to get on your show. Super excited for that, actually.
Definitely can't wait for that.
Yeah. So we'll have to come up with new topics so that we're not just repeating.
All right. Sounds good. Figure it out.
So everybody run over to the website. That website is just amazing, and it's led by some really energetic, successful individuals that are, you know, half of them are still active duty, half are not, and it's just tremendous. Actually, only I guess one or two are not yet, but
two of us. Mm-hmm.
It's a tremendous thing, especially when you think about a website that's ran by people who are deploying all over the place, and just their value, their goals, their emphasis is on adding value first and worrying about compensation later, if it even comes at all. And it's just amazing. They're about building a network, like you just said, Mike. So thanks so much for coming in and talking to us about the company, the website, and about yourself.
Thank you so much for having me. This is an absolute honor.
Man, I can't wait to see what you do out there in this world. Thanks, guys. And until next time, go do some heroic investing.
Thank you so much for listening. Please be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes. Be sure to check out the show's specific website and our general website, hartmanmedia.com, for appropriate disclaimers and terms of service. Remember that guest opinions are their own, and if you require specific legal or tax advice or advice in any other specialized area, please consult an appropriate professional. And we also very much appreciate you reviewing the show. Please go to iTunes or Stitcher Radio or whatever platform you're using and write a review for the show. We would very much appreciate that. And be sure to make it official and subscribe so you do not miss any episodes. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode.